The views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM Software, or its advertisers.
News Talk is online. News Talk Online is a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet with more than 4 million unique users on demand on iTunes and on YouTube, and on my blog, GaryBaumgarten.com, where you are encouraged to post your comments, whether you agree with me or not. And thanks to our good friends at CRN Digital Talk Radio, we are syndicated into 12 million additional households across the United States. I am your host, Gary Baumgarten. I welcome you to the show, and I want to thank Dan Warner, Mr. Big Fan himself, for filling in for me yesterday as I took the day off for Yom Kippur. Well, we've heard a lot of discourse during this presidential election campaign about a lot of stuff that really has nothing much to do with the issues. And there's always been one issue that's been kind of overriding or an undercurrent in every campaign, whether it is stated or not, and that is over a woman's right to an abortion. And that right to abortion on demand could be determined, whether it will be extended or not based on what happens in the November election. The margin of support for Roe v. Wade is down to one U.S. Supreme Court justice, with the retirement and replacement of Sandra Day O'Conner by Samuel Alito. There may be future vacancies on the court due to retirement or death that could tip the balance in favor of anti-abortionists. Justice John Paul Stevens, an abortion rights supporter, for example, is 88 years old. Abortion proponents, or choice proponents, fear that as many as 3 liberal-leaning justices could leave office during the first term of the next president of the United States, making this election, for those who are strong advocates or on one side or the other of this issue, extremely important. Joining us today to talk about this issue and other issues, because they tend to follow our guests quite a bit, is former U.S. Surgeon General Joycelyn Jones Elders. Dr. Elders briefly served as the Surgeon General of the United States under President Bill Clinton. She was confirmed in September of 1993. She angered conservatives from the get-go as she was vocal in her support of sex education, the distribution of condoms in schools, abortion rights, and the medical use of marijuana. In December of 1994, she made a statement that masturbation is part of human sexuality and part of something that perhaps should be taught, that led to her demise. President Clinton ultimately, under the pressure received as a result of that comment, sought and received her resignation. Previously, when Clinton was the governor of Arkansas, he named Dr. Elders director of the state's Department of Health. And in addition to championing liberal health-related issues, she sought to provide health care to poor areas and reduce the number of teen pregnancies. She vastly increased the number of children receiving immunizations. Not all of her efforts as Surgeon General were controversial. She tried to expand the number of certified nurse practitioners and physician assistants to extend health care to poor communities. She also recommended a tax increase on tobacco products, something that we have seen as a successful tactic in New York City and elsewhere in reducing the number of people who are smoking. And she has returned to her teaching position after resigning as Surgeon General of the United States. She's been very well sought on the speaking tours across the United States, and we are just so glad that she has time to join us here today. Dr. Elders, welcome to News Talk Online on Paltalk.com.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure having you with us. I got to tell you something that I don't normally talk about my personal business here in front of my audience, but my mother is 87 years old, and she has a problem. She's losing weight, and the doctors are very concerned because she has other health care problems. So they prescribe cannabis to my 87-year-old mother in order for her to get the munchies and put on a little meat on the bones there.
To increase her appetite.
To increase her appetite. And I was thinking, geez, do we have to worry about the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, or the DEA kicking in my parents' doors and arresting my mother for for the use of cannabis at 87? But actually, that, I guess, could happen.
Well, if you don't have one of their special permits to do it, that certainly could happen. But hopefully, her doctor can prescribe it. It makes no sense that we do not make this drug. It's been shown that it's helpful for patients with, anorexia, with AIDS, or, who are with cancer, or to decrease vomiting. And so, in that sense, I really feel that marijuana has cost America far more money from our trying to make it a crime than it would if we would legalize it and tax it.
Believe it or not, the other day, my son said to me, "Dad, I got an old film I want you to see." And he and his friends were sitting over here in the living room, and I said, "Okay." I went there to join them, and guess what the film was? Reefer Madness. Reefer Madness. And everybody who smoked a joint turned out to be a serial killer. It was great.
Oh, well.
I was thinking if I stayed downwind from my mother, whether that would make me into a serial killer. I don't know. But
well, I doubt it very seriously. And as long as it makes your mother at 88 feel better and want to eat better and all that, well, you should feel pleased.
I said, "Mom, whatever makes you happy makes me happy," So, Dr. Elders, is there really a possibility that if, for example, John McCain becomes the next president of the United States, Roe v. Wade might be struck down? And might that be a reason for those in support of a choice to vote for Obama and those who are opposed to it to vote for McCain?
That certainly is one good reason. It's very possible